thank you very much for having me here. Thank you for His Highness that started this project and the Cassini Foundation that gave us an opportunity for that presentation. So, archaeological rescue excavation in Jazeera Al Hamra. Why rescue excavation? This project is quite different than scientific from the scientific point of view, because we are working together with Hala, which is Hala's team, renovations team. So she rebuilds and she protects the site. But before she can start her part of work, we are working on the sites, we are excavating the sites, we're checking what was there, and we are conducting our part of that work. So, rescue excavation started in Jazeera Al Hamra in 2015, and it has been now almost 8 years. So a lot of things has been done since then. So I will try to walk you through all of our work, how we do it, what we do, and from the beginning till the end. Here there are some artifacts which you are welcome to see after the presentation, and over there we also have some documentation just to show how it looks like. So, is it connected? Can I just move? Like this? Can we? Could you?
Sorry, we tried it 1 hour. Full hour was working.
It was, yeah.
It happens. Okay, we can flick to the second.
Yeah, the second slide, if we could. Well, meantime, I will just explain a few things. Here, oh, okay. So what makes Jazeera Al Hamra so unique, so special? The thing is that for over 200 years, that there was no development on this site. In opposite to the cities like Dubai, Sharjah, Abu Dhabi, where things were developed and the old buildings were replaced with the new one. Here, for over the 200 years, we have just continuation of occupation without any changes. Of course, there were changes as such, but in 1970s, when Zabi tribe left the place, they left Jazeera Al Hamra as it is, almost untouched right now. So, as you can see, this is the map from 1820, made by British soldier who was a member of an expedition here. He describes here Jazeera Al Hamra as a town which has been deserted for some years. And that was 1820. So if it was deserted at that point, it doesn't mean there was no one living there. People lived there, but it also means that the occupation of this site was or started before, maybe 100 years or even more. So it is one of the things that makes that Jazeera Al Hamra so special. And the other thing is that, as you can see, in 1977, this is the map from municipality. We still have the island here, island which at this point was deserted. People left that place, but we still had a lot of structure, a lot of buildings there. So those buildings are standing even now, most of them. And we are working here. We are working in that area. So it's approximately almost 500,000 square meters. Seems to be, well, quite a lot. But as you can see on the next slide, we, for those 8 years, managed to excavate approximately 10% of sites, well, potential archaeological sites here, which makes more or less, I calculated that, 5% of the whole area, 23,724 square meters. So it's, well, still a lot of work for us to do if we would like to excavate whole island. On the island, we've got 4 different types of sites. We can divide them into the mosques, compounds, shops on a souk area, and fort/tower. Why /tower? I will explain that a bit later. But before I will describe each of those sites or types of the sites, I would like to show you a short video, how we work, what we do. So please enjoy for approximately 2 minutes. So what we saw here, it is a team effort, as you can see. From this video, we can learn how the excavation of single feature looks like. First, we found the object, artifact, then we need to excavate it, and then we need to record it. Records includes photos and drawings. Drawings can be sections like this or plans. We need to gather as much as possible information. Then we're giving the numbers from which we describe in our registers and then in the context sheets. And then all that data is converted in post-text work into the report. Like you can see over there on the table over there, you can, after my presentation, take a look. You will see all the folders with the records from one side from the beginning, which are the raw data, up to the full report written based on that data. So let's skip to the mosques. On the island, we've got 11 mosques. It should be 12, because on the map that you saw at the beginning, British marked 12 mosques somewhere over here. It is a aim for the future. Maybe we'll find it. At the moment, we found, or we have 11 mosques, from which we excavated just 4. This area here is Musala. My colleague excavated that. Well, we've got this person who really specialized here in mosques. She excavated almost all of them, or almost all of them, yes. All of them, the mosque which we excavated, are multi-phases. So they were rebuilt several times. On the almost the same layout of the mosque was built another one, and then another one, and then another one. In some cases, there was like 6 different phases of those mosques. Here you see Mosque D004, which is situated into the southwest of the site. Here, my colleague, found 6 different phases. Each of them is marked with a different color. Oh, sorry. So as you can see, the mosque from 1970s looks like that. Below it, you've got another one and another one. They were shifted from place to place, but as you can see, they are mostly located in the same spot. And in this particular case, probably we found that the mosque which was described in 1820 by British soldiers. The next mosque here, A083, is located near the fort. That's how it looked like in 2016. Then it was demolished and excavated started. And again, they revealed several different phases. So on the same place, mosque existed for many generations, but it was rebuilt several times. And now another type of the sites, compounds. So far, we managed to excavate almost 30 of them, but as these are rescue excavation, we are working closely with a renovation team. So before the renovation team will start renovating or work on the compound, we need to excavate it. So this area marked all the compounds which were excavated. Abdul Karim compound is located just there. It was one of the biggest and most important places on the island. Here we've got fort and the cluster of another compounds excavated by my colleague again. How the excavation of the compound looks like. This is just an example of compound C45. These are the walls of existing walls. We are working closely, opening the trenches along the walls, and then when we find something which is interesting from our point of view, we can extend excavation. So this is the plan for the beginning. Then during the excavation, it can be changed. This particular structure is the one here, 2.4. The plan was to open just the 4 trenches along the walls to see what we'll find there. From the point when we reach trench 23, we realized that we have different phases, different walls. So we removed whole area of that, and we found something like this. So what we can see on this picture, we see different walls from different phases. And what that tell us? It tells us that, as you can see, this is the same room. That part of the wall is visible here. And I marked with different colors, different phases. So that phase, which was called number 6, is the youngest one, the newest one, the one from 1960s, maybe 70s. How do we know that? Because of the material which was used for construction of the structure. Below the foundation made for the structure, the foundation were truncating previous walls. On the top of that, we found walls here, walls of some structure which were existing there, and then at some point was demolished. But going further down, we realized that everything below that walls were filled out with backfill, with the material which was deliberately deposited there. And someone afterwards made huge cut. It wasn't cut done for this wall. It was a cut done for some other purpose. That cut destroyed the wall which was here, the wall which was much younger than the one here and the one over there. But the wall over here, phase 2, was on the top of the wall from phase 1. And as you can see, those walls are quite different. I mean, the technique of almost all of them is different. These are bonded with cement or mortar based on cement. This one is with gypsum, same as those one. But the thing is that when someone decides to change the layout or rebuild something in the house, it's not happening every single year. People do things like that probably once a generation. Family extend, or someone is born, so you need to change layout. You need to get a new room or extend your compound. So we see for many, many generations, the layout of the compound here was changing. And even if we say it was like every generation, every 20 years, we've got 6 phases here. So 6 phases times 20 it gives you 120 years. And we know the compound was abandoned in 1960s, beginning 1970s. So we can, judging by this, estimate those walls roughly mid-19th century or even younger. And this is, well, a picture from the B008 to show how deep foundation can go. The foundation starts some over here and goes up to there. This stuff is 2 meters high. Below of that foundation, we found another evidence of human activity. This is the pit, probably used just as for the deposition of some trash, basically. And it was almost 1 meter in thickness. and it was again a meter down. So whole trench. This is the level of our floor. So from this point up to here, it was over 2 meters 20 centimeters of accumulated layers. And and that's how the section of that wall looks like. We've got the foundation wall, then we've got rendered with plaster, gypsum-based plaster, and then here we can see the coral rocks bonded with gypsum mortar. And below, we found features. So those features were probably done when on this particular place there was no existing buildings, but they could be Irish structures. And that's an example from, again, B008 site, Abdul Karim, where near the, or under the foundation, we found fire installation. This is quite common thing here. Fire installations like this we usually find close to the walls. They were used for preparing food, and there is well, a lot number of them found here in Jazeera Al Hamra. Sometimes in same spot we can find 2, 3, 4 very close to each other. You see fragments of pottery here, and a layer of or fill of ash and then charcoals. Another type of structures of which we excavate on Jazeera Al Hamra are shops, souk area here, just next to our Majlis. These shops here were excavated in 2016, 2017, 2018. That area here was excavated quite recently. The excavation started in 2019, and then they will continue into 2020. And recently, when the new project of activization started, we extended our excavation to that area here. And it brought a lot of really significant finds, but also a lot of information that we didn't have before. Because we thought, well, we could expect that there will be more shops here, but we didn't expect it will be so many of them. Now we know for sure that that line of shops, it is much newer or younger than the shops which were here. We've got now more than a dozen new structures. So when you take a look of that area, and then you realize that there is more than 20 shops, or even almost 30 shops altogether here. For the island where there was 500 houses, you can start thinking, why did they need so many shops? And the thing is that it wasn't just a local community that were using those shops. People were coming from all over the places, so it was like more like a regional hub for business trade, maybe. Because, well, I'm not saying it was as big as Sharjah, but for sure it wasn't just local people who were buying and selling things in those shops. So people from all the area here were coming to get to buy some goods or grocery. I will show you how the coastline changed here. So we already know that the island was, the lagoon was filled, but how it was done. Here you can see the coastline from 1822, and the red line here shows the coastline from 1977. Next photo, which I will show you, will give you a really nice impression how it was. Those shops, we still have it now. So over there, where the water was, maybe 5 meters from the shops, now we've got, well, lagoon which was backfilled. It's a kind of shame that it's not the island anymore. It could be probably nicer if we still had a water or lagoon there. So in 2019, a colleague of mine started excavation on that Suk area. Before that, we had 2 trenches. In those trenches, we found several different walls, but we couldn't figure out what exactly that was and how we should connect them. So the decision was made, and the excavation started. And that's what we found. Those numbers shows that our the numbers we are giving, we are using later on. I can explain you in the matrix that allows us to understand the sequence of layers or the sequence of events. So it could give us the impression, or could give us a knowledge about the changing in time. But here you can see a lot of new walls. So those 2 trenches here now looks like that. So we had several different walls, and now we see we have at least few new shops, and some of them were really, really big. We also know they are older than the one which we see on the northern edge of the Suk right now. I mean the one here. So those shops were demolished at some point, and then they were forgotten. People stopped using them. During that excavation, we found, during the second phase of that excavation, we found really nice, a colleague of mine found really nice feature here, a stove. It could be a bakery. That could be a bakery, but the stove was really, really big one. It wasn't just a small tandoor. It was quite big. It started here and continued up to there. So this scale has got, it is 2 meter scale. So you can imagine the size of that. And again, why on the small island such a big place or bakery place? So it had to be for clients, and those clients, it wasn't just a 1 or 2 person. It had to be quite a few people. So the business was really running here quite well. And as you can see, those photos were taken just quite recently, probably 2-3 months ago, when the new phase of the restoration project kicked off. So when we combine those 2 phases, phase 1 and phase 2, we meters. So it's not like a huge defensive structure to defend. It was more like a place where people could hide, but it was built not that long time ago. But the tower which we have here and which was excavated by my colleague was described in British account again. when the expedition came in 1920, they mentioned that there was several different towers in Jazeera Al Hamra, and it was just reconnaissance. After a few months, they came back and they got the order to destroy any structure that could be potentially risky for them, and they destroyed those towers. We managed to combine the old plan, old map, with this existing map here, and there was just estimation, but my colleagues had a really good instinct, and they found the really good spot. They started excavation, and guess what? They found it. They found that that tower, which was described as destroyed by British. How do we know it? Because we found that's this plan that I was talking about, the map from 1820, and the excavation from 2019. So almost 200 years later. This circular feature here, this is the remains of the tower. Guys found just burned material around it, so that indicates fire or something that was demolished with a fire. So we know that the written sources which are describing the towers and the mosques are reliable, because we found the proof of that. And there is this case of that 12th mosque, because British sources says that there will be one mosque, there should be one mosque somewhere behind us on the area where we are in the lagoon, so let's say this way. So that's probably another aim for us to find that that mosque. Who knows? Maybe we'll be lucky and we'll find it. A few more photos from the excavation of the tower. So you see that the mosque here. The mosque here is quite new, but the tower is much older than the mosque there. And that's, well, visualization how the tower could look like. So we don't know how tall it was. We just know the base of it. So it is just the visualization.
Sorry, does the base give you some idea, though, of the size of the base? Would that give you some estimation on the height, like in terms of weight and distribution?
Yes, it gives us a, yeah, so as you can see, the scale of that here, another 2 meters. So it wasn't a very tall tower.
Okay.
It couldn't be so, because it's the size of that, it's not that big.
So, yeah, and how old, roughly, do you think it is?
That.
Yeah, that house.
So it had to be erected before 1820, because that is the time when it was destroyed. So there is no scale on that, because it's just well, visualization how it could be. So here minaret over there, it's not also very tall. So that's how that was the state of the tower and the walls of a fort in 2015. So just 8 years ago. You can see the huge difference between then and now. A lot has changed, and a lot has changed into the good way. So the tower over there was much bigger, much higher. The base of it is much thicker and bigger.
Would it
We believe it's not the same fort that British attacked.
Oh, okay. But the tower itself, that's what I was wondering, like, because you see these watchtowers also inland here, and I saw on the map there was 2 towers on the fragment that you had.
So that could...
Would this maybe have been part of that?
That could be, in this area, that could be the tower. We don't know for sure was it this particular one, but it could be that.
Could I ask something about towers?
Yes? You want to go back?
Yeah. What is that thingy? It looks like the nose of the tower, yeah.
Here.
Yeah. Because we have them in the museum, and I see like they are everywhere in whole towers. It's for watching, it's for another purpose.
Is this the drainage system?
If that was opening here, that could be also drainage system, yes.
The little one on the side, sorry, the thing poking out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a
On this one,
Like a nose.
yeah. And these are the, that's the map showing the trenches done by archaeologists during the excavation of fort. So again, quite a lot of them. We were working along the walls to see will there be any changes in the walls. So yes, we found several different phases there. In some cases, there was few new walls about existing we didn't know before. And now, well, we are almost coming to the end. Few artifacts that we found during our excavation. Some of them you can see over there. This one is quite nice feature, but we also have even nicer with some stamps. The bottles like this give us dates, because there's, well, believe me or not, but there are people who can estimate the more or less the date of some features, in this case like the bottle, by the shape, for example. So some specialists dated that the bottle like that was done in UK or in Britain somewhere between 1715 and 1750. It doesn't exactly mean that it was at that point brought here. But, well, as you can see, it is a small chance that in the 18th century some British people came here with the bottle like this, probably with some liquid inside.
They came and forgot it here.
Another kind of finds, fish nets. One of it is also over there. You can see the fishing net for anchor the net, or even a boat if it was big enough. And the vessel is over there. It was sealed. When we found it, it was sealed. We had to bring a specialist to open it. We thought there will be some gold inside, but unfortunately it was just a sand. Well, we spent almost half a day waiting and waiting and waiting. Yes, the lady was really very professional, didn't want to break that. At some point, yes, she almost broke it, but we managed to do it without breaking the vessel, and there was just a sand inside.
Did you live here alone for a moment?
No. As you can see, we've got pottery, but this part was replaced by the specialist. It's also here. It's not common to find pottery in a good shape or well, in one piece. Mostly what we find, we found just a small shards of the pottery. So far we managed to recover over 200,000 pieces. So I'm talking about the pottery. Almost 500 coins and more than 500 coins and more than 5,000 different other artifacts. So it is quite a lot. Our storage is just going smaller and smaller every day because we still have the finds coming in from excavation. Especially now when the new phase of the project is on and there are many different companies working on the site, and we need to work together with them in order to supervise everything. Because when someone is working and digging, we need to be there. We need to take a look what is going on, and sometimes to stop the work and record. Because these are rescue excavations, so it's a slightly different type of excavation than usually we can find on other sites where people come to one place with some purpose and have some idea what they want to find, and they spend several seasons just working in the 100-meter square area. Here we've got huge site that we need to manage, and somehow we're trying to do our best. And another very interesting find. In one of the mosques which I showed you before, 8083, below the floor, yes, it was the floor, below the floor, a colleague of mine, really good specialist, and her team found a small pot which is over there, filled with coins. We decide not to touch it. I mean, at the moment we don't have the proper sources to take it out without breaking it apart. So it's got historical and archaeological value, even if it looks like that. Why it was hidden under the floor in the mosque, it's hard to say. We don't know. Maybe you can have some idea. Why was it?
Do you think it was manufactured like this, or was this over time?
No. It was just a bunch of coins or cluster of coins. It was Sorry, let me rephrase that. It was coins separately put to this small pot, and then during the time they created a kind of cluster. So this green color here, which you can see, it is done because it was covered with the sand, and for many years without the proper word. Sorry, I was talking for so long now. Maybe I need a sip of water. Well, that's how it looks like now. Another very interesting artifact, Marie Therese thaler. Quite common thing, even quite recently, 20, 30 years ago, on the markets in the region, you could find the coins like that. Quite a big one, because it's a 4 centimeters by 4 thick silver coin. Yes?
How are coins made in the past?
Very same way as they are now. They were minced. So you've got the shape like this with the metal, and then there is a quite big force that stamp the coin. So here you can see the face of Marie Therese. She was
in Spain, I think.
no, in Austria.
Austria.
Yes, in Czechia. Yes, that's Habsburgs. Austria, Czechia, Hungary, and when she was queen or she was a ruler, they started to mint the coins with her face. And they've been doing that since then, since mid 18th century. So even now we can get the new coins with Maria Teresa.
There's a full necklace in the museum.
Yes, it is.
With her.
And it is because these coins were quite precious, and people were using them as as the American dollar is used now. So, like I said, even 20 or 30 years ago, here on the markets in Gulf area, you could probably buy some goods using those coins.
Pardon me, I have a question regarding so. Do you think Maria Teresa, like the coins and the necklace, were brought by the Portuguese? Since they're close to the Spanish?
No, they weren't. Because probably the necklace was made here in the region. That coins were brought here just to be currency, instead of using some reals or dirhams. You could use those coins. And when they had, and they still have, over 200 grams of pure silver, it is quite big value. So you can even people collect those coins just to keep it as savings. Yeah, exactly. And we found 2 of them, but we believe there was more than 2 because you can see the stripe here. So probably they were stuck or piled together, and then there was a stripe connecting them. But we found only 2 in one of the compounds, which is quite peculiar, because if you lose 1 dirham, it's not that much. But if you lose 2 coins, which value is quite high, I would prefer to find them than not to. So maybe people who lost them were quite wealthy and didn't really care about this. So that gives us also idea how wealthy were people living here. And we know from our finds, from our excavation, that some people were quite wealthy here in Jazeera Al Hamra. And that's everything what I had to say. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, they're putting the mic down.
No problem. Did I manage? Yeah, almost 1 hour.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting.
Thank you.
I'm gonna ask now our Q&A. So now is the actual time to have any questions. I mean, it was cool what you were saying, part of that, but I think one of my first questions is gonna be regarding that coin. Is it here? Can we see it?
Maria Teresa. Yes.
Oh, it is. Wow. So the coin is here. I did not expect that. I thought you were gonna say, oh wow.
So as you can see, quite big, quite heavy.
That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Can I put it there?
Well,
So that's, oh, okay. I thought you were gonna look at somewhere. So now we're just gonna open the floor if you have any questions. Oh, okay. So if you can please, introduce your name and where you're from, if you're a student or from any department, and you can ask a question.
So I'm Ahmed Al-Malki.
hello.
I'm a student in American University of Ras Al Khaimah, and I'm right now a intern in MCY, Ministry of Culture and Youth. So first of all, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
So first one, I want to thank you for you and your team for giving us and showing us part of our history, our traditions, our practices that we did years and centuries ago that we didn't know about, and now you showed us locals and the lovely visitors here. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Well, it's not just me. It's a teamwork. I've got really a lot of wonderful colleagues who help me with this presentation, who work with me. So it's not only for me; it's for all of them. And it was I could I could make a list. It's a quite long list, really. So I thank you them for that also.
And for my second question is about the phases.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if such phases had a impact on the history and how the buildings and the structures are made, the materials used. So I don't know, have you found out the materials or the foreign influence on such materials in the buildings or structures?
Well, we know that when the cement was introduced here, the local mortar, which was based on the gypsum, was replaced. The new materials came into use, like sand blocks or things like that. So Hala can tell you a little bit more about this. So yes, there was an impact on the the regional way of building of things. Together with the cement came another materials, and they were replaced. The old things were replaced with the new ones. Yes. Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my name is Mira Shahi. I'm also from the American University of Al Hamra, and I'm an intern at the Department of Antiquities.
Mm-hmm.
and
Yes,
Museums.
we met.
Yeah, we met. My question is that you've been here for a while, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
You're not new here.
Mm-hmm.
What's something that you saw that actually caught your attention? You were like surprised that it was there.
What are you doing this summer?
Yes. Well, there was a movie crew here several times making films about
Yeah.
about not only Jazeera Al Hamra, but also making the movies for Netflix and things like that. Really, there are several films which were made here in Jazeera Al Hamra, and you can watch it on Netflix. But there also local television came here several times to make some TV series, as far as I know.
So no archaeology, no finds, just TV shows?
No, and if you ask about archaeology,
Maybe
well,
she meant something as a piece, you mean, like
Yeah,
something that you were surprised that you found it
did
here.
not lead to the place.
well, yes. If you take a look over there, we've got this sieve over there.
That green one.
Here, this is a sieve used for pearls, and Jazeera Al Hamra is the village where there was a lot of people who were doing the pearl diving, but that's the only one we found. And so far, we didn't find even a single pearl. So I know they are very, very precious, but in a huge village where a lot of people were making a life doing this, we didn't find even a single one, as smallest one, tiny one, nothing.
Maybe they were like pearl diving, they were finding the pearls. I know the main job of Jazeera Al Hamra was pearl diving, but because they were doing it as a job, not to maybe to put them or to collect them or something. So the pearl merchant can go to the other countries and maybe sell them because of that, yeah.
Yes, but we know that there were pearl merchants here in Jazeera Al Hamra living. So even in those houses, for Abdul Karim, for example, we didn't find anything. Well, maybe we still need to
Didn't find
excavate.
it, maybe.
There was this young gentleman.
Well, I'm Tamara Watt. My father works in the American University of Ras Al Khaimah.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, was there inflation of gold back in the days?
Well, for sure it was, but it's not something that we can find here during our excavation.
Was there complicated, like,
You mean here?
Like in the past?
Well, probably it was, but again, we are while we are working or we are excavating, we have just material artifacts, and you are asking about some things that are slightly different nature. So I'm afraid I cannot answer that question.
Maybe the story is always is like when you excavate, you know, you're looking for like gold or something. That's why I think that question came.
Well, so far we didn't find any gold. Thought we found some jewelry that is, well, the golden jewelry. That's true. I didn't didn't put it to the presentation, but yes, we have some.
We might show you a golden jewelry. Yes.
Hi, my name is Dr. Sabir. I'm a professor
Mhm.
at Iraqi. My question is more fundamental to your personal motivation.
Oh.
You mentioned that you came here in 2017.
Yes.
Right? And you have worked in the past in other sites as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what brought you here? I mean, and what was your initial brief? Like, okay, you're here. What was the initial brief? What were you supposed to find? And you've been here now. It's 2023.
Yeah, that's quite a lot.
So what is the motivation that drives you to find out more from this site? And what was the initial brief? And what got you to stay here?
What brought me here was that at that point of time in the past, I was in the work that I didn't really enjoy, and I was looking for some new motivation to do something that will just push me to another direction. And what keeps me here? My family keeps me here. That's the simplest answer.
So the role of an archaeologist, for example, I mean, it's something that people don't often know, that it takes so many years to find something, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you see this area, this field of practice, and how is it?
Well, there is still a lot to excavate here, not only in Jazeera Al Hamra, but whole Emirates, and it could be a lot of very interesting sites waiting for us somewhere. And I know they are because we've got some colleagues who found really nice things, not only in Ras Al Khaimah but Al Quwain also, and other places. So maybe even here in Jazeera Al Hamra we'll find some unique things, because the things that we are excavating at the moment are really connected and close with the renovation of the village. But if there will be opportunity, some funds and time to develop some other project, I'm sure we'll find even more interesting things than those that I showed you on the presentation. Yes?
Okay, we'll take last 2 questions, and then we're gonna be staying here, so you can ask more questions.
I'm just Kate, a curious person. I was wondering whether the climate here hinders or enhances preservation of these sorts of artifacts, you know, as you find them, and also where the pottery that you did find, like the plate you showed us, was made.
Mm-hmm. Well, first question. Yes, it impacts a lot. Some of the walls which we excavated several years ago, and they've been under the sun for those years, they started to decay. So it is really important to preserve and save them. Otherwise, within a few years, you see the state of the walls, how they look like now. So yeah, the climate has got a lot of impact on the artifacts and features. Was the second question about the?
I was just wondering the origin of the pottery, the floral pottery you showed us.
Well, here on the table, I've got some.
The plate was from Europe.
Yeah, the plate was the particular one was from Europe, but we've got the pottery, local one. We've got imports from China. We've got imports from Iran, Iraq. So from many different places of what.
We'll take Alana and then a question.
I don't know a huge amount about Ras Al Khaimah. Why did, I don't know if everyone knows this, but why did everyone leave the village? Why was it left abandoned originally? Like, why is there no one still living here and just rebuilding?
Well, we know that it was left because there was some, how to put it, between the Azabi tribe and the ruler of Ras Al Khaimah, there was some kind of discussion, and they couldn't find an agreement. That's why Azabi tribe decided to leave the Jazeera Al Hamra and to move to Abu Dhabi.
Also because the area here it was developed and all the Emirates, UAE, after discovered the oil, so the people they are start searching about
For jobs, you mean?
jobs
Mm-hmm.
and so they are start moving to Abu Dhabi or to the city in Ras Al Khaimah. So because also if the family is big and they are grow and all the houses here is very small, so they are searching for about
Yes.
new life and opportunity outside the village.
Yeah, we need to remember that at the point when the island was abandoned, it was still an island, so communication was quite limited.
Last question?
Hi. So you said that you found a lot of artifacts that show that the village had,
Mm-hmm.
like the people in the village had money, like the shops, the coins, the pottery that was brought from other countries probably also cost a lot of money. So, and on the other hand, you said like it was an island, it was isolated, there was a lot of pearl divers and fishermen. So what was the social economic stature of that tribe? And if I remember correctly, it's not just one tribe, but
Yeah.
the people who lived in.
Based on what we found here during our excavation, we know there were quite wealthy people living here. But at the same time, we also found the small Irish huts or some remains of Irish structure. So people were living also not, well, it's in small huts basically, and they were.
Like level.
So there was different. The community here was on different levels. Yes.
Okay. I mean, we're still kind of stay, but I'm just gonna end this session. If somebody, they have their own schedules later on. So thank you very much on behalf
Thank you
of
again.
the chefs and the other team. We thank you. So this is a very small token as a gift. You can check it later on. It's
Thank
a nice
you.
photo. And also just for our audience, thank you very much for being here with us today.
Thank you again.
And just to remind you that we have the last session of the Summer Majlis on the 20th. We hope to see you all here. Also, we'd like you to follow our channels if you want to know more about details of Jazeera Al Hamra and our events. At the same time, we'll be sitting here. We invite you all for a nice coffee and some refreshments. Hala from she's going to be also here if you have any questions. Hamad Tarboush also is here, and our team that you can see us standing around. So please feel free. And also, I think we have some things outside.
Please feel free to check
feel free
here.
Indoor and there's outdoor some things, and you can also check the nice, lovely space.